Movies and Martinis celebrates women and diversity in the entertainment world
by ranking trending movies, shows, and books
with two completely different perspectives and ranked by delicious martinis.
Listen to find out how many martinis we felt it was worth.
And learn about the women who have written, performed, and/or directed in everything we have rated.
A new episode is available every Thursday on your favorite podcast platform and YouTube. What's up, everyone? Welcome to our podcast. I'm Priya.
And I'm Mercy. Welcome, everybody, and welcome, Ron.
Hey,
how
Ron.
are you?
Good to be here.
Welcome
Good to be
back.
here again.
Welcome back, and let us start with a huge congratulations for your book release. How exciting is that?
It really is. And you know, the nicest thing about it, and you know, I'm not a guy that wins things. Like if I ordered 1 million lottery tickets, I would never win. You know, it wouldn't matter.
Really?
I still wouldn't win. But we did win the Best Book Award. And you know, that's quite a big deal. And
that's amazing.
The Maxie Award,
yeah. Here too. And you guys, welcome to the Books and Martinis episode for the Movies and Martinis podcast. And just as a reminder, Ron was our first interviewee for Books and Martinis, and we're happy to have him back after the release of his book to talk about all the amazing things that have happened.
It's my pleasure.
I'm excited.
Okay, so why don't we kick it off and just remind everybody about who you are, Ron. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Well, actually, I'm a writer. I've been writing since I was in the 6th grade, and I had a teacher, and you know how it is with teachers, and Mercy, you would really know this because you have a teaching background. I had a teacher in the 6th grade named Miss Dorsey. I'll never forget her name, right? Even though it's many years ago. But we had essays that we had to write, and I wrote an essay like everybody did, I think, about your summer vacation or your favorite athlete or hero or whatever. And I think I chose Willie Mays. And so I wrote this, and she said, you know, this isn't the best essay, but it's the most unique essay. You know, you have a unique way of looking at things. So then I started writing short stories that got published in my brother's high school magazine, even though I was in grammar school. And I wound up going to that high school. I was editor of the magazine and won an award for best short story, The Runaway it was called. They made a play out of it at Rutgers University. And then I went to Georgetown. I wrote for True Detective afterwards because I was a deputy sheriff for 3 years, transporting federal prisoners, which gives you a lot of stories. Yeah, I was.
Oh my God.
I carried a gun and everything.
New information, guys.
This was like the Wild West. I had one on each hip. But so then I started writing seriously. I wrote for True Detective magazine, and I guess published maybe 30 or 40 short stories. My first novel I gave over to William Peter Blatty when they were filming The Exorcist at Georgetown in 1972, and from there my writing sort of blossomed.
Oh, that's fantastic! So exciting! Such a wonderful career, and that's going to take me straight to ask you, how do you think he would feel about knowing that this book is finally released, that you actually completed what at one point he had started, and how do you feel about it also after so many years?
Yeah.
And let's say the title for everyone listening. So it's The Unwelcomed, The Curious Case of Clara Fowler.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
So I think, how would he feel? I think originally when I did a version of this, it was Academy Award week. And The Exorcist was up for Academy Awards, and he was up for Best Writer, etc. I flew to California. I had the only suit I had was this winter suit. And I went to California. I was, 19, 20, whatever it was. So sweating like crazy. I was supposed to meet him at the Beverly Hills Hotel. And he had death threats prior to the awards. So he moved to another house. So I had no idea. So I go to the hotel manager. I was supposed to meet him here. I'd flown in. I had about $85 in my pocket. And so I took a cab, and it turned out that he had left an address with the hotel that this guy secretly gave to me. And it was Noel Marshall's house, his producer, and his wife was Tippi Hedren, and his daughter was Melanie Griffith. So they were out having lunch. So Melanie Griffith and her mom, Tippi Hedren from the Byrds, let me in, and I spent some time there. Then I wound up staying at Bill's house in Malibu to deliver the first version of The Unwelcomed, which was called Christabel at the time. And it was sort of a documentary, and he helped me out as best he could. And I know he'd be really proud. He'd be very, very proud knowing the circuitous route that it took. And I'm very proud of it too. I think it's my best book. And what I like about this particular book is people see different things in it. So one person will say, one reviewer will say, it's the scariest book since the Exorcist. Another will say it's a deep psychological, a journey into the recesses of a mind. And then another will call it, like a Book World, a fantastic and deeply religious novel that will touch readers to their soul. So the fact that people see different things in it is very gratifying to me.
I kind of feel like it's all those things. It doesn't have to be just like put into one corner.
Yeah,
I feel like it's all those things.
It covers a lot of bases.
Yeah. So what do you feel Clara would find the help she needed back then sooner today, now that we're talking about like really the meat and potatoes of the book? Like, do you think that she would get the help?
Yes, I think probably, well, it's an oddity because she was a Radcliffe student. And she was living in Cambridge and Beacon Hill, Boston. So these were very educated, very well-to-do people. And she was very fortunate. She went to a general practitioner, Jackson Putnam, who said, I don't know, this isn't my field. This is way above my pay grade, and sent her almost directly then to Morton Prince and William James, who were really the foremost psychiatrist of the day. And so generally speaking, the answer is yes. Today she would get help much sooner. But in that particular case, she was fortunate enough to be routed to some of the foremost physicians and psychiatrists and psychotherapists in the world at the time.
Right. So yeah, I see exactly what you're saying. And you have to read the book to know how complex it is and all the different avenues that it has. And so I have been dying to ask you, and I'm going to say that this would be what do we call it, Priya? When we say what we're not supposed to say yet.
Spoiler?
A spoiler alert. If you haven't read it, it's a total spoiler alert, because the book is very deep. So it has a lot of layers. It's not a black and white book. It, like you said, it has a lot of different interpretations, but aside from that, it has a lot of different layers. And I am dying to know, in your point of view, do you feel that what Clara was suffering from was more spiritual, or was it more clinical? Like, was she facing mental health disorders, or was she, or was this really a supernatural thing? What is your opinion?
I think that it was a supernatural thing. And the reason is, as Prince, Dr. Prince, who was the physician, one of the physicians, argued that it was, a psychological issue. But then Richard Hodgson and William James, the famous William James, argued that it was paranormal. And the reason they argued that was because there were so many symptoms. So, for example, if she just had unusual strength, okay, you could attribute that to whatever, Tourette's syndrome, or whatever you might. If she had clairvoyance, you could say, well, this is sort of one of those odd things where people can predict the future occasionally. If she, her face remolded, which it did, if she spoke languages she couldn't know before, if she, went unbridled rage at religious, the odds of all of those happening at the same time to one individual, it's very unlikely. The more likely scenario was what people believed for thousands of years, which was that it was a demonic possession.
Do you think the mental health?
I'm sorry.
Sorry, Mercy.
I was gonna say that's what I got out of it, but I didn't know that I missed something because it is a very complex book. It does have so many layers. So that's what I walked away from, or what I walked away with. However, what took me there, aside from all of the things that she went through that were so out there and so supernatural, was the fact that, again, another spoiler alert, she moves on to live a normal life after the exorcism, in a way. And so if it was mental health, then, it just wouldn't end that way,
really
because mental health stays with you. That's how I look at it.
Really good point. And you're absolutely right. And I don't think this is a minor point of the book, so I don't mind doing a little spoiler, but she is cured. She winds up being cured, and ironically winds up marrying Waterman, Dr. George Waterman, Harvard Medical School graduate, and winds up living maybe 7 doors down from Morton Prince on Beacon Street, and in Back Bay, Boston, and becomes a socialite. Now,
and goes on to have a normal life.
The reason she can do that is because Prince disguised all the names. Her name was kept, very discreet. Yeah, but you're right.
So you're saying that she was cured. So was the mental health issue a result of the supernatural force? And
so I think that. I'm going to go to what I got out of it, right? When I was reading it. And I believe that the whole story is this whole war between the medical world and the religious world, right? So one is arguing, no, this is bigger than us, this is supernatural. And then Dr. Prince is arguing, no, this could be schizophrenia, it could be Tourette's, it could be so many different things. We found all these things that years ago they would have killed somebody thinking that they were possessed, but it wasn't. It was a mental health issue that we've discovered. And so here they were saying, okay, well then how do you explain this, and how do you explain how she's being elevated and how she's transforming, and these things are coming out of her, and like what is happening? How do you explain that? So it was this back and forth, and you're like, could it be? No, it can't be. Yes, it can be. And
well, mental health is not levitating.
So interesting.
I don't think it's the same.
Oh my goodness, no.
It doesn't happen too often.
When you listen to this doctor, he's trying to make sense of it, and he's just a really wise man, and there's validity to what he's saying, so it kind of has you thinking. So at the end of the day, it's, to me, an actual thriller that was just mind-blowing, and it was incredible. And I think that she's kind of put in what we would call today the what is it when they send you to another place so that nobody can find you?
Asylum?
When they say
asylum?
No. When you testify against somebody.
Witness protection program.
And a witness protection program of its time. I think that's what Prince did with her, because he kind of started from scratch, and only her inner medical circle and religious circle really knew who she was.
Exactly.
That's how
he actually wrote a book called Dissociation of a Personality, and in it, and this was what was so difficult with the research, Bill Blatty fortunately said, let me give you an introduction to the curator at the Harvard Medical School Library, where all of the information about this case was archived. In the book that he wrote in 1906 called Dissociation of a Personality, he disguises all the names and even the locations and whatnot. So I actually worked with a detective. I hired a detective to help, get to the bottom of her background, first of all, her name and whatnot, but then deep into her parents' background, her background, the background of the city marshal, who becomes so intricate with the plot.
Such a big character.
Bassett Hilliard, who's my favorite character, by the way.
Yes, I remember that. Bassett was amazing. Yes.
Yeah, he's like
you see him transform in the story.
Yes. Really from this. Well, I don't want to give away too much.
So many spoilers. Okay, we need to stop.
Yeah, Mercy.
I know. I just loved it. I'm telling you, I gifted the book because the book, as we were just saying, congratulations, is because the book is now available. The last time we spoke, it was not available yet.
Correct.
Now it's actually out and everybody can get the book. But you had a story you wanted to share with us, and I really wanted our listeners to hear the story that you had about William Peter Blatty.
So yeah, actually, when the situation that I mentioned when I was in Malibu and went to see him, when I went to Tippi Hedren's house, she invited me in, and her daughter, who was about 13 at the time, Melanie Griffith, had braces on her teeth and was a long way from Antonio Banderas and that line. She had just been in a movie called The Conversation with Gene Hackman. So anyway, I was exhausted and really stressed because I was supposed to meet this guy at the Beverly Hills Hotel. He's not there. They give me this address and say, we really don't know what it is, but this is what's in this box. I used the last money that I have to take an $85 cab fare to Sherman Oaks. She opens the door. I sit down and I'm, just sweltering in this suit. And I'm on the couch and there's what I think is a stuffed animal. And I'd say it's about 15 pounds, and it starts moving. And it comes over towards me, and I go, it's been a long day. It's been very hot. Am I hallucinating? Or is that stuffed animal moving around? She said, no, that's real. Then another animal, a lion, female lion, starts ripping against my leg. And now I go like, what?
The lion.
He had lions, like 40 of them.
A cub? Like a cub?
She had a cub that was on the couch. That's what I thought was the stuffed animal. And then I guess the mother or whatever, but a female lion starts rubbing again. And I mean, this is 150 pounds. This is not a small animal rubbing against my leg. So I said, so these are like lions, right?
I need a drink.
She goes, yes. I said, well, will they hurt me? She goes, well, not if you don't try to hurt me. I said, well, there's no way I'm going to try to hurt you. So I guess everybody's safe here. But that was quite an introduction. So finally, Blatty came back and we went.
That was a good security system.
Yeah, that's the best. That's the best.
Wow. So talk about like celebrities being over the top. That's insane.
Yeah. Now she was sort of famous for that. She passed away not too long ago. But yeah, she had 40 lions that she kept, like, I say in captivity, but it was a very humane. She did it because she loved the animals,
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Jeez. Now that we've shared some spoilers, what do you want your readers to walk away with from your book?
I think this is what I think the book talks about really. More and more in the scientific world, because religion and science, right, at odds. That's really not happening so much anymore. I just finished a book called The Case Against Reality by a guy named Donald Hoffman, a physicist. And he says, we have no idea what the real world is. What we see is like an icon. So you look in the mirror and you see your face, but you don't know the thoughts behind it. You don't know the music that somebody likes. You don't know, what if they're in love. The real person, the real reality isn't the face. It's what's behind it. And so because of evolution and whatnot, we're programmed to just see the things that we need to see, meaning how do you get food? How do you sleep? How do you get sleep? How do you procreate? So those are the things your brain is programmed to look at. But outside of that is an entirely different world. He says this, Aldous Huxley says this, Francis Crick, who was the co-founder of DNA in 1958, won the Nobel Prize for Science, that we don't have any idea. The chance that what we see is real is zero. My book says that the real things are invisible to your eyes. The real reality is a spiritual one.
Wow.
Absolutely. I agree with you. I agree. And not only that we don't know so much, so many of us don't know ourselves or what we're even capable of, or, what lies behind all the chances we don't take. So
exactly.
it's, yeah.
But, you know, also, if you think about, I'm sure your life, I can certainly talk about mine. You're busy day to day. Let's say you're working for a corporation or whatever, you're plotting every minute of every day. It's like it is like a matrix world that you invent for yourself.
Yes.
But outside of that, as we all know, let's say that you weren't working. Let's say you were, in a country hamlet. You'd be thinking and seeing a different version of the world and a different version of reality.
Right. And of who you would be, because we mold to whatever circumstance we're under.
Exactly. And we have to. That's the survival instinct. But I have a tattoo from The Little Prince, the book The Little Prince. And it says, the things that are important are invisible to your eyes. And I think that's, if there's something that people should walk away with after reading The Unwelcomed, I think that would be it.
Wow, that's
profound. I think it is. And I think with age, we realize the more we know, it's the more we know what we don't know, right?
Exactly.
We get older and we realize, my God, I really don't know anything.
But even these physicists now, again, the whole premise of sort of a secular society was based on two things. One was evolution, Darwin's evolution, which has been totally disproven. I think just not there's no fossil trail or anything like that. So that's sort of put on a shelf. But the other is Newtonian physics. An apple falls from the tree, it comes down. But since a guy named Max Planck and others, physicists, come up with quantum physics, Einstein, that no longer holds. And again, it's a different world than we perceive it to be, and what we perceive changes over time. But what we always come back to is, if there's a big bang and the world is constantly expanding, where is it expanding to? And what was there before the big bang? I mean, those are the real questions, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And you can't dismiss the Bible version of it or the religious portion of it when you encounter the supernatural parts of it that kind of attach themselves to the historic stories that you would find in a Bible.
Well, again, it's a way
of supernatural,
the lens you look through. But what did Jesus say? Except my kingdom is not of this world. So what does that mean? If it's not this world, it's another, isn't it? Right.
Sure. It was basically, the book is an interpretation of men of its time.
Yes.
So they only know what they know.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Right? We know so much more now. So
yeah. But in the end, it never answers the real questions. The questions are like, where do I come from? What is the purpose of my life? And what happens when I die? Those are the three questions, but science can't answer those.
Yeah.
And those
we have to answer those questions.
We have to answer those, exactly.
Yeah. And our purpose, absolutely. Wow. Okay. Told you it's got a lot of layers. It's definitely a must read.
But in the end, it's kind of a thriller, right? I mean, the end,
it is. It's so interesting. I mean, I just, you start from that first sentence and you just can't put it down. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate the honor of you allowing me to read it before it was even published. It's
my pleasure, Marcy. Absolutely.
So happy.
And I'm so excited to have a hard copy.
You have it.
Yeah.
So where can our readers, our listeners, and our viewers find your book?
Well, I'd like to say just everywhere, and I guess that's not so far from the truth. You can get it on Amazon, of course, or Barnes & Noble, or Thrift Books, or any of the online bookstores. And if you go into a Barnes & Noble brick and mortar, or an independent bookshop, if they don't have it, they can order it and get it to you within a couple days.
That's awesome.
Yes. And I would like to say that I will be in Naples in July. I'm going to take my copy so you can sign it for me.
Not only that, maybe we'll be able to break some bread and have a nice dinner. How about that?
I am so jealous. You too. Why are you coordinating without me?
You're welcome too.
Yeah, you are welcome to come to Naples. We have plenty of space. I'll be there in July for Raquel. So
we're looking forward to that.
Yes.
Right.
So am I. So my love to Ingrid, by the way.
Of course.
And maybe we could take a great picture Priya?
Yes.
Once we wrap everything up so we can share with our listeners and they can get more information on the link below.
Awesome.
I'll let you do the wrap up.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Ron, for being our guest for the second time. For everyone listening, viewing, reading, you could check out Ron's book, The Unwelcomed, The Curious Case of Clara Fowler, everywhere.
Yes, available everywhere. And it is available on Audible, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. There's an audio book and it's a Kindle. So yeah, it's available with all different formats.
And Ron's also on Instagram, so if you want to connect with him, you can find him on Instagram.
And Facebook as well.
And Facebook.
Yeah.
So thank you all for
tuning
in. Make sure you like, share, follow, subscribe, all that great stuff, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Yes, we will. Thank you, and thank you, Ron.
What a delight.